One, bear with me as I continue to figure out this tripod situation, but I actually really like it. There's a light right here, and I'm actually really liking the color or the shadow or whatever, the light here. So it is what it is. I'm still figuring this out. So what I want to talk about today is you just are not my ally. So yesterday I was in a conversation. I ended up in a Twitter exchange with, after someone posted that it is basically up to individuals of a privileged class or anybody who wants to understand the experiences of marginalized, underrepresented people, or who has any interest in helping, wanting to understand what all this is about, to do your own damn homework, basically what it is, and stop asking underrepresented and marginalized people to do the homework that you're doing, that you could be doing by Googling, watching videos, following some people on Twitter who are speaking about these things. There are various ways for you to become educated, informed about inclusion, diversity, underrepresented, and marginalized, all these different issues around privilege. So in that thread, there was a gentleman who, for lack of a better word, was an energy suck. He didn't suck my energy, but everything about, even in a thread about you should do your own homework, he kept pushing his agenda or it soul became about him, his safety, his this, his that. And at that point I disengaged from the conversation because I realized that he was not a person who was really interested in what the thread was about, but rather being a victim, being privileged. You know, if it's not about privilege, if it's not from the perspective of privilege, it's not valid. It's distraction. It's everybody's being, mean and all these other things. So, but one of the people who was trying to talk to him kept asking this question in various ways. Are you an ally? Do you want to be an ally? How do you be an ally? Asking him this question, which made me think, because it made me go back to how I define ally and then versus power ally, because in that statement, I said, based on my definition and based on his responses and behavior in this thread, I would not consider this individual an ally, and I would actively remove him from my community. I'm just going to be honest. I would actively remove him from my community because he would be a detrimental distraction from hashtag causeascene or anything else that underrepresented and marginalized individuals are trying to do to get their voices out there. And it wasn't rude. It's these very slight things that happen that derail a conversation, silence people who are watching it, and all these other things. And people think these are innocent, but they're not. So I really want to talk about this because when I look up the definition of ally, it is a verb, allied, allying, to unite formally as by treaty, league, marriage, or the like, usually followed by with or to enter into an alliance, join, and unite. So nothing about what he was saying demonstrated allyship to me, and that's one of my biggest issues, that privileged individuals get to name themselves or call themselves allies. That's not how this works. You do not get to tell us if you're an ally. Your demonstrated behavior lets us know if we can call you or trust you as an ally. It's not about what you want. It's about what we say. We define it. So it's the same thing as you're not a bus driver unless you can demonstrate you know how to drive a bus. You're not a brain surgeon unless not only have you been to school for this, but you can demonstrate an ability to perform surgery on brains. You can't say you can walk unless you can demonstrate your ability to walk. It's that simple. So it's not even frustrated. That's not honestly, there's a bit of frustration of privileged individuals, particularly white men, who will just put on the banner of I am an ally. You don't get that right. It is not your place to say if you're an ally or not. You cannot say whether your actions are benefiting me or not. You cannot say that. I'm the only person who could determine that. And that's a big issue I have, because there's several allies out here who I just really want to call out because you're doing way more harm than you think you're doing good. So these are some things that you look for. If someone becomes defensive when someone of a marginalized or marginalized, underrepresented group starts to tell their story, you're not an ally. If you make their story about you, you're not an ally. If you are unwilling to do the work it takes to get comfortable with being uncomfortable, you're definitely not an ally, because underrepresented and marginalized people have to walk in discomfort every single day, all day long. And if you're not willing to even put yourself incrementally in that space, you're not my ally. And I also want to talk about this, and this is controversial, but fuck, I am controversial. Just because you're in a relationship and your significant other is a person of underrepresented or marginalized communities does not make you my ally. Particularly if your significant other is a person of color, doesn't make me your ally. Because based on ally, you have a treaty with that person. You have yet to demonstrate to me your ability to ally me, to go this with me, to protect me. And again, when I love my power allies, that definition is because not only do you understand that you have privilege, undeserved privilege, and that you benefit from privilege, but you also do whatever you can to make yourself uncomfortable in an environment or in situations so that I can be comfortable. So you can't do that if you're being defensive. You can't do that if your wife or husband or whatever is a person of color and you still have these things that you say, these behaviors that you do that are privileged. Just because they let that slide doesn't mean I will. And so I wanted to bring that up because there are too many people out here who calling themselves allies. You do not get to call yourself an ally. We ascribe that role to you based on your behavior. So remember that. An ally is not someone who takes on a title. It's not about what you say I am. It's about doing. It's about demonstration. And if you're not doing that, you're not my ally or anybody's ally who is underrepresented and marginalized in tech. So I really wanted to talk about that, and have a great day. Goodbye.